Have you ever met someone who doesn't care about the World Cup at all? Everyone around them is excited. Friends are discussing predictions. Families are glued to the television. Social media is flooded with highlights. But they just sit there and say, I honestly don't care. And somehow, that confuses people. Because when millions of people are emotionally invested in the same event, not caring almost feels unusual. But psychology says something interesting. People who don't care about the World Cup aren't necessarily boring. They're often wired differently. Here's why. First, their brain is less influenced by social excitement. Psychologists call this social contagion. When large groups become excited about something, that excitement spreads from person to person. It's the reason crowds cheer louder than individuals. It's why trends become popular. And it's why millions suddenly become emotionally invested in teams they've never supported before. But some people are naturally less affected by collective emotions. They don't automatically absorb the energy around them. So while everyone else gets swept into the excitement, they remain emotionally neutral. Not because they're trying to be different. Their brain simply doesn't react the same way. Second, they value personal interests more than group interests. Think about it. Many people follow sports because their friends do. Their family does. Their coworkers do. It's a social experience. But some people are internally motivated. Instead of asking, what is everyone interested in? They ask, what am I interested in? And if football isn't on that list, they won't force themselves to care, even when everyone else does. Third, they often need a stronger emotional connection. The human brain becomes attached when there's personal meaning involved. A favorite team, a childhood memory, a family tradition, a player they admire. These emotional connections create investment. Without them, the World Cup can feel like 22 strangers chasing a ball. And without emotional investment, the brain doesn't generate much excitement. That's why some people can watch a final match and feel absolutely nothing, while someone next to them is screaming at the television. Fourth, they may enjoy observing people more than watching sports. This is surprisingly common. Some people aren't fascinated by the game. They're fascinated by human behavior. Instead of watching the match, they watch the fans, the celebrations, the arguments, the emotional reactions. They find the psychology behind the event more interesting than the event itself. In a strange way, they're still watching the World Cup, just from a completely different angle. Fifth, they're often comfortable being different. Let's be honest, when everyone around you is obsessed with something, it takes confidence to say, I'm not interested. Many people pretend to care just to fit in. They learn scores, memorize player names, and join conversations they don't actually enjoy. But people who genuinely don't care are often less dependent on social approval. They're comfortable having different interests. And psychology shows that people who rely less on validation tend to follow their own preferences more often. But here's the most interesting part. Not caring doesn't mean they're emotionless. They simply invest their emotions elsewhere. While one person is emotionally invested in football, another is invested in music, books, business, technology, art, gaming, psychology, or personal goals. Every brain chooses different things to care about, and that's completely normal. In fact, psychologists believe individuality is one of the reasons society works. If everyone cared about the exact same thing, the world would be incredibly limited. Different interests create different perspectives, and different perspectives create innovation. So the next time someone says, I don't care about the World Cup, don't assume they're boring. Don't assume they're antisocial. And don't assume something is wrong with them. Their brain may simply be focused on different sources of meaning and excitement. Because psychology reveals something important. Being different from the crowd doesn't always mean you're disconnected. Sometimes, it just means you're connected to something else. What about you? Do you actually care about the World Cup? Or are you one of the people who couldn't care less? Let me know in the comments.